there's a whole load of ways in which education is maybe following a similar pattern to music, in that it's moving online and the AI is getting more involved in it, and we can follow this, and especially in Exeter, we've got all the benefits for university, but possibly a lot of the problems as well. I've spoken before about the student accommodation and the good sense, or possibly otherwise, of carrying on building more and more and more of it, and what the implications are. The implications are if moving online does continue in the way that it might do. And some of this I've done in a play. I'll say more about that tomorrow on the drama show, except that it's the first Thursday of the month and the Tech Exeter breakfast will be happening, so I will be going to that over at the Innovation Centre, and that means most of the show will be pre-recorded, but I'll say a bit in the first 20 minutes or so. So about 8 o'clock tomorrow I'll say some more about this, and maybe just before 10, depending on what I discover at the Tech Exeter breakfast, because there are people there who actually know what's going on. But I was struck by, well, there's two things. The other thing to say about the play, just briefly, I've started to interest the chatbot, that you can create your own chatbot on the Meta AI Studio, which you can find through Instagram, and then they will talk to you. And the one for Campus Online and Evolve has agreed to be in my play, and will play the researcher who is escaping from the Fortress University for a new job in an AI startup. But that means I'm playing the Vice-Chancellor, who has been rejecting all the suggestions from the researcher so far. But this is the resolution of the problem situation, the new job. So that's the basis of that one. But there's at least some dialogue appearing from the Campus Online and Evolve chatbot. So that's pretty good, and I will say more about that on the drama show tomorrow. But the other thing is, there's a real event, and this We Don't Know show is more or less reality. There's quite a lot of fiction creeping in, but it's started out with reality, let's say. And there's an article in the Times Higher Education report, which I've just seen a summary of in LinkedIn. Massimo, got to check that name. That's my handwriting. I've probably got that wrong. But he's a.
4 factors are demanding a radical strategic rethink at universities in Australia and around the world, says Massimo Garbuio.
Strategy, innovation, and entrepreneurship professor, associated professor at the University of Sydney Business School, and he says the golden age of Anglophone universities is coming to an end. The global south includes Australia, presumably. I'm not sure, exactly what that means, but it was interesting that the THE rankings, university rankings, were definitely changing when they were published, and it seems to be Asian, maybe global south. Don't know. We'll find out more information about this over time. But it's interesting, the reasons given. Demand disruption. Governments are objecting to immigration, so physical movement is more difficult. 2U and edX both mentioned. You also find lots of stories about the MOOC scene never continued. It's all gone away. But it's interesting. Both 2U and edX are mentioned. Presumably Coursera might be mentioned. So there's learner agency. Potential students have a lot more choices open to them. And then this is the bit that interests me, that the Anglophone universities have been overextended on infrastructure. So I'm interpreting that, I would say that means they've spent too much on buildings. And that's why I think building more and more student accommodation is possibly not. There needs to be some thought about it, some discussion around it anyway. And then symbolic strategy syndrome, elaborate exercises in institutional theatre. Well, maybe we'd be interested to find out what the strategy is. But the quote from this that I've made a special note of is that at this time, universities need to make bold resource allocation decisions. Well, I wonder what that means. I think that's something to come back to. I think I'm rambling too much.